spring break happened. We got sunburned. Basketball happened. Lots to talk about there. But hey, this is Matt and Josh. We're talking high school sports, City of Houston. Lots to cover. This is going to be a regular segment. Now we actually have a home to do this in. Josh, what's the craziest story in the past 30 days that we've not talked about?
Past 30 days? Craziest story?
Yes.
The Huffman Falcons. Huffman men's basketball making it to state for the first time. Huffman men's basketball making it to state for the first time ever. That was exciting for that group. Jacob Harvey leading that team. It's one of those things that, like, you see this team on this magical run, and you're just kind of waiting and seeing. It was like March Madness. It was March Madness because we were playing into March. So that was the craziest thing. Of course, we saw the end of the careers of Rory Harmon and Kendall Hunter in the state championship game. Third time that they've made it to state in the last 4 years of their career. They played all the way since their freshman year. It was kind of a devastating loss for them. It was hard because it was the end of their careers. And if you think about it, and we talked about it in the Alamo Dome, this year alone we've seen the careers of Demetrius Davis and Shadrack Banks come to an end at North Shore. We've seen Roy Harmon and Kendall Hunter, their careers come to an end. So, like,
Allie Battenhorst,
she leads
Seven Lakes volleyball.
Yeah, she leads as
all-timer.
the state champion. It's been a big year for Houston as far as, like, the final chapters being written for these stars that we've seen over the last 4 years. So now we're kind of thinking, like, okay, who's the next, like, big stars? So what's the craziest thing for you?
Crazy thing for me is this, and this is going to be really off the chart, but Tremont Mark of Dickinson, who graduated a year ago, didn't get to finish and win a state championship because of COVID.
Which he would have.
He goes to U of H, and U of H is a top 10 team in the country, and he kind of feels his way onto the court. This guy is going to be awesome. He makes big shots. He's not afraid of the moment, and now this dude is kind of on a national stage, right? You got Quentin Grimes, of course, from College Park. The McDonald's All-American, goes to Kentucky, comes back. You got Fabian White from Atascocita, gets injured, comes back. He's playing at U of H. U of H is kind of the story, I think, in basketball right now. It's college basketball. But the guys that are doing it are from Houston, which is awesome, which used to be in Phi Slamma Jamma way back when. But Tremont Mark making the big step into college, into the bright lights, it's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. I love that story because it's kind of cool because, like, we just saw him last year. Now he's in the Sweet 16. Houston has a chance to go to the Elite Eight. And Quentin Grimes, to me, I feel like Tremont Mark is a big story, but I think Quentin Grimes is a huge story. So, like you said, he goes to Kansas.
Yep.
He comes back. He didn't really get a lot of playing time. We didn't know what he was going to get, and he just balled out at Houston. He scored 22 points the other night, and
he's a co-player of the year in that conference.
Yeah, co-player of the year, and I think he won Guy V. Lewis, right?
He did.
He won. Tremont Mark won Guy V. Lewis. So, I mean, you talk about Kelvin Sampson and company winning recruiting in Houston. You have two of the last Guy V. Lewis Award winners, which, by the way, the next Guy V. Lewis Award winner will be announced on Tuesday night.
Yep.
So we will add another one to the Immaculate Club because it is an Immaculate Club.
It is a good club. Good club. And you got really some other cool stories. You know, you got Charlie Collier, the Barbers Hill product, goes to UT. She's declared for the draft. I mean, you don't really hear a fanfare of, like, I'm declaring for the draft for the WNBA, but she could be a top 2-3 pick.
No, she's number one.
She's number one in Josh's book. He does a lot of research on WNBA draft. He's a draft Nick.
I've looked at some drafts, some mock drafts.
So, you know, it's really cool to see also what high school girls are doing at the next level in college from the city of Houston. Okay, we got a lot of basketball talk. Okay. Soccer, getting ready to start the playoffs. Yep. Great. Yep. Give me 2-3 teams that can win it. Who should we be on the radar?
What's really going to be fun is Friendswood girls in 5A. They're really, really good. And the collision course we're waiting to see is them against Kingwood Park. Kingwood Park, once again, last year they were going to try to go for a third straight trip to the state tournament. That got cut short due to COVID. They blasted their district this year. They went 14-0, ran everybody out of the district. Emma Yeager is a phenomenal talent. She smashed the season record this year in goals. She got 41 already to this point in the season. So Friendswood and K Park at the 5A level, that's going to be the ones to watch. At the 6A level, on the girls' side, Ridgepoint, really good. Woodlands is really good. Ridgepoint is playing out of their minds right now. We could maybe see Ridgepoint and the Woodlands meet at some point way down in the playoffs because it would be like the state semifinals.
Yeah.
Because they're Region 2 and Region 3.
So that's your Soccer Minute, brought to you by Josh Cook.
And on the boys' side, Seven Lakes is really good too, and the Ridgepoint boys are really good as well.
So that's your soccer update. That's good. Baseball's in full swing.
They are.
Fire right now. Softball as well. Here's the thing. Katy ISD having an insane season this year. Seven Lakes wins a volleyball state championship.
Yep.
First time ever. Seven Lakes cheerleading. Let's not listen. Cheer. It's a thing.
It is.
It's a UIL sport. They win the state championship. Katy football wins the state championship. Baseball, I'm feeling Tompkins right now. Tompkins has so much talent. They're going to need a little pitching, but man, they can smash the cover off the ball.
Did you see? Okay, so Jace Laviolette.
Yep.
It was on our cover. And I think he's a big short outfielder.
He's a center fielder, lefty, committed to LSU as a junior.
And did you know he pitches too?
Yeah.
He got on the mound the other night. And I was like,
He's a giant.
He's huge. I would not want to stand in the boxing room. But yeah, Katy Tompkins baseball is playing really well. Katy baseball is playing really well. Katy softball, they got a freshman, Cameron Harrison, who was in my top 21 in the preseason rankings.
Yep.
By the way, had a great game the other night in the circle for them. Kingwood Park baseball playing really well. Matt King has 9 home runs this season, which has already tied the school record in home runs. So the next one he hit will be the 10th. He's also hit 3 grand slams.
A story to soon follow by Josh Cook.
By the way, that story's coming out tomorrow afternoon.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. So, hey, you follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok for show. Facebook, Snapchat.
We're everywhere.
On our
YouTube.
Vype.com. Gives you great information. Okay, so we're transitioning into what really people want to know about. Not The Bachelor and or Temptation Island, which we could talk about that later. But football, baby. Football is a month away from the spring. We are going to be able to play, I think, full swing football spring practice, tackling in the whole 9.
Yep.
Couple jobs have opened. Clear Springs, interesting job that's opened. Coach Daly, he goes to Seguin,
which he was there before.
He's there. He's kind of a lifer of Seguin. Good for him. Not a ton of jobs really opened up in the city of Houston, did they?
Not really. I mean, you saw some jobs open. The May Creek job opened. The coach there went over and took over.
Brian Randall.
Yeah, Brian Randall took over Randall High School.
Awesome.
Which
Great story.
An amazing story. His dad is an outgoing superintendent. They named the school after him, and he gets to go in and open.
That's a storybook. Storybook.
And also their logo is awesome. They're gonna be the Lions. They got like a cool TR logo. I already want a hat. So Brian Randall, if you're watching, we need some
gear.
We need some gear.
High school coaches rather.
Yeah.
We need helmets. Bro.
That Yates.
I'm a helmet guy.
That Yates helmet's awesome.
Vintage.
It's like from the 80s.
Vintage.
It is vintage.
Wheatley, Chavez.
In this
Chavez. Of all places, we have a Chavez helmet. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Lobos for life. So that's getting ready to ratchet up.
Yeah.
Biggest questions entering the spring. I know what you're going to lead off with, and I want you to lead off with it about Katy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing about Katy football. Mm-hmm. They won the state championship this past year.
Yes, they did.
They were really young. They were an extremely young team on the offensive side of the ball. Like, you do lose the senior brother, Jalen Davis.
Right.
You lose him because he was a senior, over 1,000 yards. Seth Davis was only a sophomore.
He
rushed
play.
For over 1,000 yards.
He can play.
Koger, the quarterback. Here's the thing about Koger, and I have to apologize to him. He did not look good, Tompkins, in that game because I was like, "There's no way." I sat on the sidelines. There's no way Katie's winning any more games.
Agree.
Like he did not play well, but man, he improved so much. Like since that Tompkins game, the switch flipped, something happened, and I mean they played phenomenal football. They played great football. The defense was amazing. Malik Sill is on that side of the ball. This is gonna be a really good Katy team For a couple of years to come, they have the running backs. Because it's KD football, right?
Yeah.
You have good running backs. You have a good quarterback. You have an awesome defense. That's how you win state championships.
They had a bunch of D1s leave. Hunter Washington, of course, he's graduated. I was obsessed with Shepherd Bowling. I thought that dude was out
amazing.
of this world. And he is really good at the gritty, as we found out in the state championship game.
Defensive player of the year for Vype.
Yes.
Also, he had the diving interception in the state championship game.
Dude, you got to have that glue guy.
Captain for the team this year.
That guy's a glue guy. I was fired up for him, but he's gone.
Yeah.
Katie looks legit. Gary Joseph he had to deal with so much last year.
So much.
And when they say, block out the noise, it's hard to block out the noise. There's so much noise. And, man, what a job they did to go all the way and win it. I didn't think they were going to win the state championship game. Kudos to them. That was awesome. My thing is this. The baton has been passed. I don't know to who, but who is taking over the quarterback job at North Shore? I think there's a incoming freshman, or maybe a freshman going to be a sophomore. That's going to be the guy. I can't remember his name. His brother played receiver for them this year. It'll come to me later.
It'll hit you later.
The North Shore dynasty, you're thinking, oh, my gosh, it's over. I bet they have some tricks up their sleeve. You know, what do you foresee North Shore being like this upcoming year?
Defensively, they're going to be really good. You look at the defensive side of the ball, they return a lot of guys. I mean,
Denver Harris,
he's a 5-star. He's the number 6 player in the country in his recruiting class. He's the highest ranked player in the city of Houston for the next round of recruiting, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But then you just have other guys like you have Corey Flagg's younger brother, Caleb Flagg. He's a good middle linebacker. Kent Battle's a good middle linebacker.
They have some defensive linemen too that are legit.
They got some defensive linemen that are big, and you got other corners that are really good as well that played good in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the question is, and I texted this to John K. while we were driving to San Antonio for state championships, like, how many people are competing for quarterback? He said 104.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be interesting. They had a guy that was on their JV team that led their JV team last year. They believe he's going to be the guy that will step up and play this year. There's a guy coming up from the middle school. There is word that, Tiki Hardiman, who is a legend in North Shore, his son is now getting up to the high school level. He'll probably start on freshman and play with them. The next cycle will come. Yeah. It's just the last 3 years, we've gotten so used to seeing Demetrius Davis and Shadrack Banks, and those are the two dudes.
Yeah.
Well, they're at Auburn and Texas A&M now in spring football.
Damian George.
Yeah.
Jaden Roberts, the giant offensive lineman.
Corey Flagg.
Both now at Bama. You got Corey Flagg at Miami. So you're right. There's been a ton of guys kind of transition out. I mean, Zach Evans is playing at TCU. He was a 5-star also. So let's see how this all works out with John K. and the crew. But here's my thing. This is going to be a theme I'm going to just pound for the rest of my life. It's about culture.
Yeah.
Your culture defines your program. And if your culture is right, then you're going to have success. And here's what I want to say about that. Zach Evans had his problems. He was sent home at the state championship game. John K. had to do that because if you have one, I won't say bad seed, but let's just say if he didn't punish Zach Evans, then the die is cast and everybody's like, well, Zach did it, so I can do it. He did. He sent him home on the state championship game, and then they beat Duncanville. Oh my goodness, that's insane. So what that means is that his culture is like none other. Katie, culture on culture on this dates back generations at Katie.
Yeah, it's
the same. You know what you're gonna get when you get there, and for programs to get to, let's just say, I don't know, who would we say? Like Shadow Creek, Cy-Fair. I mean, Cy-Fair's been around a long time. Woodlands. Who else is kind of on the cusp? Bridgeland.
Yeah.
They have to have that culture ingrained because when they're going to hit those bumps on the roads and down years, they got to just stay with the same culture.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I completely agree. And like you mentioned, it goes back, like at Katy, it goes back to Gene Johnston. at North Shore, it goes back to David Amon.
Right.
Like, the one I noticed it this year, and I don't know why I never noticed it. But when North Shore comes out of the locker room, they come out numerically.
I didn't know that.
From largest number to smallest number in order. That's how they come out of the locker room. Because I was standing there and I was like, okay. I was waiting for Demetrius to come out. I was wanting to get video of him coming out of the locker room. And it took me a while. I was like, wait, they come out numerically. Then you watch them at practice. At their signing day. When they, the guys weren't just sitting up in the stands.
Right.
No, they were in lines.
It's militant.
It's
like the military.
I think this is going to be the toughest spring ball in the last years of North Shore because John Kay knows he has to find the next quarterback of this team. And he told us, Demetrius got thrown through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like.
When he was a sophomore.
When he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
This is not like.
They ain't giving it to anybody.
They're not just going to hand you the starting job and say, "Oh yeah, you're the quarterback." But
I know we'll get to recruiting on the next episode per se.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell a story real quick. I'm in a storytelling because now I'm getting old, and I've got all these stories in my mind.
Let's all sit around as Uncle Matt tells us a story.
Get the s'mores out. I'll never forget. I wrote a book about North Shore in 2004, something like that. Something like that. Dab. But I interviewed college coaches that came through the program. And I'll never forget, it's called Blood Pit. They call it Blood Pit. I don't know if they call it that anymore.
They probably don't call it anymore.
Yeah. But the first day of spring football, they have a thing called Blood Pit. And I'm not talking about the football team. I'm talking about virtually the whole school that has athletic period at the same time come out and watch Blood Pit. Full pads, best on best, and college coaches are in the circle. It's like an Oklahoma-type drill.
Okay.
And I'm looking around at these college coaches from, at the time, Herman was at Texas Lutheran at this time. This was way back. So I'm looking at these guys, and this drill happens, and it's a bloodbath. I mean, it is, and people are hooping and hollering and jumping all over. It's just like you dream it. And I look at these coaches, and there's a coach from Ohio State, Bill Conley, who was there. Joe DeForest, who was at Oklahoma State at the time, and Texas Lutheran. Who did I just say?
Oh yeah, Herman.
Herman was there.
Yeah.
And like 5 or 6, and they're looking at each other in complete panic, and they're like, "I'm like, what?" He goes, "We don't do this at the college level." And they're doing this on the first day of practice. If we did this, we wouldn't make it 5 practices in. These kids are so tough, and that's just the toughness that dates back to what you said, David Amon, 20 years ago in Blood Pit. It's paying the fruits of his labor and all those kids to now, and they're the marquee name in high school football in Houston.
Well, and the other thing, too, you have to think about all the playoff games.
Yeah.
That they've played, all the extra practices. College football teams love getting into a bowl game. You know why, Matt? Because they get 2-3 more extra weeks of practice. They get the young guys to come up and get extra practice. So they have just continued to get the next guy ready to go to step up. So my question to you is,
dog years. That's like dog years.
Oh yeah, they're dog years.
Like the quarterback or the lineman that's a freshman at North Shore. It's different years. Like if you play at, I don't know what other school that makes a playoff and get bumped in the first round. If you play at North Shore, it's like dog years. You're playing a season is really like 2 seasons for everybody else in the city. Go on.
Exactly. So my question to you, so we talked about North Shore, we talked about Katy. They had amazing seasons last year. Katy won it all. What team in the city of Houston was on the cusp last year that if they have a big spring, they can put it together in the fall, they're just right there?
The Spring Lions.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Oh!
Spring Lions.
I like it.
Okay, so Bridgeland was really good. They lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
I like Bridgeland.
They have Connor Wigman back at quarterback.
Shadow Creek's going to go through a major transition because of drones, and that whole crew is out. They always got great players. But what I saw at Spring is that they have a veteran quarterback. They have a bunch of players that are really good. They're the younger brothers of other really good players that played at Spring. there's like 6 or 7 younger brothers on that team
Mm-hmm.
that, the youngest of the family is always the best because they've gotten beaten up,
Yeah.
by the older brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
whatever. But the spring line, Bishop Davenport's legit as a quarterback, big, can throw. They have really good skills. And what's been the difference for them is their defense. They got Braylon Jones as the middle linebacker. Their defense is legit.
They beat Westfield on that Hail Mary this
Yep.
year, which you know Westfield is ready for that game next year.
Possibly.
Yeah,
they are.
Like they
for
got
sure.
circled on the schedule. They
For
know
sure,
they,
for sure.
They got beat. Bishop Davenport is interesting. He had like 3,400 yards passing, amazing statistical season. He only has an offer from Texas Southern right now. Just got that the other day. It was his first offer. And I was texting someone the other day I was like, hey, why does he not have more offers? And they were saying, just because they're looking more at his mechanics. Because for some reason he's considered a pocket quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think he is.
And they're looking at his arm mechanics more. So they've been working on his arm mechanics. He has to get more offers this spring, right?
He will.
You don't pass for 3,500 yards and go deep in the playoffs and you don't get offers.
With good size. And the recruiting world is in turmoil right now. It's like no one is knowing what's happening, who's getting offered, and what kid's coming back, and it's the portal. It's a train wreck.
Well,
so he's just got to hold on.
At least official visits will start again. They're
Yes.
starting in June. So
He
at least
just
we're
got
getting that back.
And that's the problem with recruiting. It's so cyclical and so emotional for high school kids, and they're like, oh, Joe Smith got offered by Bam, and he puts it on Twitter, and Bishop Davenport's like, dude, I'm better than Joe Smith or whoever it might be.
Yeah.
And it's a roller coaster of emotions. But I think spring. Who do you think?
I like spring too. I think the big thing we always look at is your quarterback. If you bring your quarterback back, you're going to look good. Spring is going to be really good. I think Bridgeland's going to be really. You have a lot of pieces to replace over there. Cy-Fair had a good year. They have, I don't know if their quarterback's coming back. I have to look. Atascocita had a good year last year. Got bumped in the playoffs. They ran through North Shore. Gavin Session will be back at quarterback this year. They got the big lineman Cam Dewberry, who's a 5-star. He's a top national recruit. Atascocita is always good. They always find a way to be on the tops of the district, make a deep playoff run. Craig Sump is a quarterback whisperer, no matter who he's got back there. Whether it be Blake Matthews, who's now playing baseball at Nebraska, I think.
Great shortstop.
He's a great shortstop. He was a district MVP at quarterback.
Dude, he was unbelievable.
In
he
high
was so
school.
good.
The guy before that, Davion Boyd, who was on the cover of Vype a few years ago. He's just gone through all these quarterbacks. He's always found a way to get the next guy to just do it. I mean, he played quarterback at Texas A&M. So
is that your team, Atascocita?
I right now, without dive deeping, Atascocita is always a good bet to they're going to do well in
it's a safe
district.
bet.
They're going to do well in district. He's going to have good quarterback play. They got Cam Dewberry. They should go a couple rounds in the playoffs and have.
I got one more team. Yes.
Question.
Scotty T.
No,
Scotty
Mike.
T.
What about Klubnik committing to Clemson? What do y'all think about that?
For Westlake, I mean, he's the real deal. He's big. He's fast. He has. This is the Westlake quarterback who won a state championship. He has that it factor that people rally around, and he's tough, and he's a gamer. He's a complete gamer. He wants the ball in his hands. I'll never forget at the North Shore game, they run the ball, I think it's like 3rd and 1 to clinch the game. And the running back doesn't get anywhere, and the next play is like, dude, I'm not handing this ball over off. He takes it in. So I think he's going to be really good. Another team I like in this is, I think it's Ridgepoint. I think Ridgepoint, Coach Lefevre's, what he's done over there. They've got Bert Emanuel Jr. back. They have some. You see them on the football field. They got some good-looking dudes, and I think they're going to be pretty good as well.
They should be pretty good. Back at Westlake, they have to replace a lot on defense.
Yeah,
that defense.
Yes, they were
was
so good.
super senior heavy. I mean, they were good. I think Ridgepoint, like you said, Ridgepoint's going to be really good as well. And yeah, I mean, it'll be fun. We'll just have to do this some more, and we'll do more recruiting, and eventually we'll start writing our football magazine. So I'll be a little bit more versed in who's coming back.
Okay, thanks to Scotty T for putting this all together. Josh Dubb at the headquarters. Josh Cook, of course, Matt Malatesta. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. We'll see you in a week talking more high school sports in Houston and around the state.